Virtual guitar amps are not new to the music production world. In fact, they've taken a firm position in almost every music producer and mix engineer's workflow. And today I'm going to be showing you some of the ways I apply them to my own production and mixes. And I hope you can learn one or two things from my approach. And that's what's coming up. Hey, music producers and audio engineers. It's fantastic to be back with you today again. It's Friday, so we're talking audio once again. If this is the first time you see me, I'm Akurios. I'm a musician, a music producer, audio engineer, voice coach, music educator, and entrepreneur. And I'm here to help musicians find the courage to pursue a career in music and earn a living in the process while improving their gifts and talents. So if you're interested in learning tips and tricks in music production and audio engineering, or you want to sharpen your music business skills, or become a better vocalist and singer, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel, tap the notification bell, and make sure you are notified every single time there's a video on this channel. And do well to watch the video to the very end so you can learn every single thing I have to show you on this particular topic of virtual amps. Now, that's enough talk. Let's head into the mix. All right, so this is a project I'm working on currently, and has a bunch of tracks, a lot of guitars. Let's see how many guitars we have. About 6 guitars going on there. Maybe there may be more added to this particular song, but I don't know yet. Let's just have a listen to the intro. All right, so the first thing you hear from the very beginning is, of course, this synth bass part that is playing that line. And then there's an electric bass that joins in the same melody. And after a couple of bars, this guitar comes in. Playing the same parts. Now you can hear there's a lot of processing on it, and I'll show you exactly what is going on there in a bit. And then we also have another pair of guitars that come in. Okay, heavily processed. Well, not too heavily processed though, but you know, quite processed guitars there. Okay, so what is happening from the very beginning? I want the first set of electric guitars to make an impression. That is why I'm processing them that way from the onset. Okay, so what is happening here now? So we have these two guitars. First of all, that's what I'm going to show you now. This is, of course, the IK Multimedia Amplitude. I'll put that over there, and I'll pull up the second amp and leave it here to the right. Now, the first thing you can see is that, first of all, the guitars are playing exactly the same part. One is panned to the right, the other is panned to the left. So I have the guitars coming into Amplitude. First thing you will see is a pedal board. And what we have here is, first of all, a compressor, and then we have a fuzz box, and then we have, of course, a graphic EQ doing some little boosts here and there just to give me the sound I'm looking for. And lastly, we have the tape echo. That's the last thing on this particular pedal board. And then when we go to the amp, it's an orange emulation, and we have, of course, the volume at 6.4. We have the treble 7.5, mid 5.6, bass 5.1. So the bass is has the least amount, and gain going out 7.5. And that's the setting on this guitar to the left. The guitar to the right, of course, has the bass at 6.6. So there's more bass here than there is on the left side. Take note of that. And the treble is at 5.7. There's less treble on the right side than we have on the left side. On the left side, we have a treble of 7.5, and on the right side, the guitar to the right, it's 5.7. And then in the volume section, we have the normal at 0.8, brilliant. For that high-end sheen at 7.0, I wanted it to have more high-end from this setting. And then the vibe trem, this effect here is 2.1, and the vibe trem setting here is set at vibrato, okay? And then we have the tone at 3.6. That's the amp. And then the stomp boxes that I have going on here. First of all, we have the tape echo, the same tape echo as the one on the left. Now, the settings are just slightly different, And then we have a compressor going on there, a different type of compressor. Okay, so that's what is going on these two guitars, and this is how they sound together by themselves. And I'll just take them out so you can hear what they sound like without any processing whatsoever. Okay, so that's the sound they introduced, and back in the mix, this is what we have. And then right after that, we have right below those two guitars, we have these rhythm guitars that are doing something different. Let's listen to what they're doing. So they're playing exactly the same riff, exactly the same phrase. It's nothing different, but they're playing it differently. Why does it sound different? It sounds different because the guitar is at a different section of the fretboard, playing the same melody, the same pitch and everything, and it's a different guitar. It's not the same guitar from the first one. And you can hear by just listening to the 4 tracks together. I'm going to bypass the top ones, and you hear or solo, take them out, and I'll bring them back in as it plays. You can clearly hear that the guitars sound different. The first set sounds different from the second set. And also, there's an introduction of something new when the second set comes in. So even though they're playing the same riff, they're playing the same lines, they are sounding different, and they are making a contribution, a different contribution to the mix. Now, there's something, let me point out a couple of things here that can be helpful to you if you're recording multiple guitar parts in your project. Now, the first thing is this. If you're recording the same part or the same melody, the same riff, and you want maybe 4 guitars to play it, instead of using the same guitar, if you have 2 guitars, 2 electric guitars or 2 acoustic guitars, use 2 guitars instead of just 1. But if you have just 1 guitar, this is something you can do. Instead of playing everything on one part of the fretboard, you can go to a different section of the fretboard, a different part of the fretboard, different strings, and play the same melody, the same pitch, but on different strings and different parts of the fretboard, so that you can have a different feel, so that the second set of guitars introduce different nuances, different frequencies, a different feel to the mix. Okay? And you can also now in post, after you've recorded, after the recording phase, you can now decide to use different virtual amplifiers, different, like I've used in this particular mix. You're using different stomp boxes, different processing to further introduce some distinction to the individual tracks. So everything doesn't sound the same way. If you have 4 tracks sounding exactly the same way, doesn't make sense. You might as well just use 1. All right, now let's go into this second set of guitars. Let's listen to them without the processing, and then we'll see what is happening in the amp. And with. Cool. All right. Now we have them panned, of course, once again, left and right. One is panned to the left and the other is panned all the way to the right, 100% on both sides. All right. So the left side, first of all, has a delay on. I'm just going to solo the tracks so that you can hear exactly what it's doing. So just the left side. And then what we have is a delay. Very subtle, not too much. And then there's a compressor and then analog chorus. An analog chorus is just to make it sound a little different from the left side so that we have some chorusing effect, chorusing feel on the stereo field. And then the amp I'm using here is this same emulation from Amplitude. And I have the setting bass here is 6.5, treble 5.7. And that's exactly what we have on this other side also. So the settings here are identical, okay? But the only difference is that I don't have a chorus pedal on this right side. It's just the delay and the compressor. So what we have now sounds like this. Okay, so that's it. And then if we bring these two guitars together, this is what we have. Cool. Now, if we go to a different section of the music, we're going to hear that the electric guitars, the first set of electric guitars, I just call them electric guitars, Guitar Electric 1 and 2 for the left and the right. And the second set I call Guitar Rhythm, okay, because of the role I wanted to play in the song. All right. And that's Rhythm 1 and Rhythm 2 for the left and right. So in the verse, this is what Guitar Electric 1 and 2 are playing. Okay, and then after a while, after a couple of bars, guitar rhythm 1 and 2 come in. Obviously, in the mixing stage, I'm still going to address some of the build-up of some frequencies in the guitars, especially the electric guitars 1 and 2, because I'm hearing between 500 and 800 hertz. There's something going on there I don't like, which I'm going to take out later with another EQ, not with the EQs on the virtual amps, but I want a different type of EQ to address this particular thing after I've done some processing on the guitars in the mix stage. Okay, so let's just listen to that once again. The verse. And then if we take it to this section where the rhythm guitars come in. You can hear that we have a nice stereo field left and right. They're not being summed down to the middle, even though we have, they're all electric guitars, okay? But we have a nice stereo field. What is panned left is left, stays left. What is panned right stays right, okay? All right, now let's bring it into the entire mix and listen to that in context. Okay, all right. So let's listen to this part also. So you can hear that we have full sounding guitars, and this sound was achieved by virtual guitar amps. And that's how I tweaked those amps to achieve the sound that we have right here. Okay, so once again, let's just listen to from this section, everything bypassed right here. These guys, for instance. You can hear that the guitars are as humble and as natural, as simple as possible, but the virtual guitar amps introduce that twang to them. So if this video has been helpful to you, tap that like button, give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do that right now so that you're part of the movement, so that you're benefiting from every single content that drops on this channel. My name is Akurios, and I'll see you next time.